I'm Sonya Morton Firth, and you're tuned in to the Sonya Morton Firth Show. Today my guest is Ian Young, speaker, author, founder of recovery clinics and sober services global in the UK and in Thailand. In his past life, a squatter, raver, DJ and addict, injecting heroin, cocaine, as well as being an alcoholic. His life then revolved around setting up raves in the UK and dodging prison. Ian now touches the lives of thousands of people, offering lasting recovery for those struggling with addictions.
Tell me about the 12-step program, and I know that's a whole other interview. I do know that, but the 12-step program, and I've got a friend that's been on it, and I saw her go through it. And Russell Brand obviously talks about the 12-step program, and he sort of made that his big thing. But
I remember using heroin with Russell in 1999 in the summer in a squat on a Sunday near, not Hackney, Dalston. And I've seen him in recovery as well, but I haven't had a chance to tell him that story yet.
But there are people that knock the 12-step and do say it's too much about abstinence and it's too extreme, and actually that's not the way.
The main reason why people knock the 12-step program is because they think it's a religious program. Now, if you don't mind me giving me a couple of minutes, I'm the biggest atheist you'll ever meet. I've done all the psychedelics on this planet, and I've met fucking God, and I'm still the biggest atheist you'll ever meet. But this program asks me to find a power greater than myself that I can choose. Let me just tell you, step one is we admitted we're powerless over our addiction and that our lives have become unmanageable. What does it mean to be powerless over my addiction? It means I've lost the ability to choose on a daily basis not to get high. And it means that when I start getting high, I can't stop. I've lost control of when I start, and I've lost the ability to choose not to start in the first place. So powerless is about the inability to choose not to do what I don't want to be doing, because I know that when I start doing it, I can't control myself and there's no way of me stopping myself. So when I start, I can't stop, and when I stop, I can't stop myself from starting again. So the problem is that I need to find a place where I can stop for long enough so that I can overcome this obsession that keeps driving me back to doing what I don't want to be doing in the first place.
Yeah, we apply that to so many different parts of our lives, not just drugs, not just drink.
Sure.
I mean,
chocolate,
food, chocolate, absolutely. Do you know what? Exercise.
Facebook.
Exercise. I mean, I go to the gym, and I'm obsessed with, the gym. I mean, lockdown was me not being able to go to the gym, but that's an obsession, right? It's just.
But has your life become unmanageable as a result of it?
No.
Is this obsession affecting your quality of your life? Is it making you emotionally unavailable for your loved ones? That's the benchmark. Remember, does your addiction?
With somebody in lockdown so that you can argue it did. I make sure I found a way to work out in some way. But yeah, no, I understand what you're trying to say.
So powerlessness, what does that mean? It means we've lost the ability to choose not to do what we don't want to be doing. And when we start, we can't stop. And we stop, we can't stop ourselves from starting again. That's what powerless means. So what do I need? Step two is a statement of the solution. A power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. So if I'm powerless, I need to find a power. Yeah. If I'm powerless, I need some power. And that power is going to restore me to enough sanity so that I have the ability to choose on a daily basis not to get high. That's the premise of the 12-step program. Step one is a statement of the problem. Step two is a statement of the solution. Steps 3 through to 10 is something you can do on every day that helps you remain sober every day. And people get stuck because they have to do some actual fucking work. But that work is the most healing process I've ever experienced. It is that work of going through steps 3 through to 10 and adopting them in my program, in my life, so they work automatically. That shifted me, this is good, from being a bad boy into a good guy. It is that precise stuff that restores me to the sanity so that I can choose on a daily basis not to do those bad things anymore, not to be that bad boy, and to be a good guy, and to treat people the way I want to be treated myself, and to do for others what they cannot do for themselves. That's the crutch of what this process is. And I'm a big fan of the 12-step program because I have worked in this industry. I've been sober 19 and a half years now. I've worked in the industry over 17 of those years. And I have seen many people stop using drugs and stop drinking. But the people that I see with a great, great quality of life restored to them and given them like a whole new opportunity to live, starting a whole new book, not a chapter, a whole new book, are the people that take the 12-step program seriously. They work the steps and they have a psychic change. They have this whole spiritual dimension that's added to their life. It's like having it's like, do you remember in the 70s, there was this cereal called Ready Brick and the kids would walk down.
And it glowed, you glowed.
Ready Brick glow. That's what being in recovery feels like. It's like I'm walking around with a Ready Brick glow. It's like I've got laser beams coming out of my eyes. It's like I can see from like putting on a new pair of glasses. I see the world from a different point of view. I wake up in the morning, and this is what I talked to Carl about. I wake up in the morning and I'm jolly. I'm just automatically jolly. Some days I'm jollier than other days. Other days I'm not quite so jolly. But generally, by and large, my inner chi, my natural organic chi is jolly. And I am just in a place of joy and bliss. And the word that the 12-step program uses is serenity. And I'm just there. I'm independent. I'm not snippet independent. I'm just happy.
If I asked you what was your gift, Ian, what is your gift?
What's my gift? I don't know what my gift is. My gift to others or my gift to myself? My gift.
Your purpose in life. Your purpose.
Well, my purpose in life is to co-create a green and harmonious world through laughter and love. And that just ties in with my anarchistic mindset, which is I need to at least take care of my own garden and clean my own side of the street and make sure that what I'm doing is co-creating a place of harmony amongst people, rather than, I'm not looking for a fight, I'm looking for peace. And a green and harmonious world. I'm into living, let's support the planet. Let's not steal from the planet. How can I use a glass rather than a plastic bottle? Those small things. I'm responsible for my own affairs. And I can talk to other people, but it just ends up lecturing people. So I co-create a green and harmonious world through laughter and love. When I got sober, one of the greatest tools to keep me sober was comedy, music and comedy. I was a DJ. I love music. Music is my biggest passion. It's always on. I'm always traveling with my speaker and my headphones. My iPhone is, I have to get the biggest size iPhone and other phones are available, but they're not nearly as good. I have to get the biggest size iPhone because I always have to download music in case I happen to be offline and I can't listen. I can't do with streaming. I have to have everything downloaded. And so my iPhone is always on shuffle. Music is a really important part of me, but comedy, when I started laughing again, after having 3 miserable years, and those last 3 years of my addiction, they were miserable. I was more junkie sick than I was ever high. I was more looking for the next bit to just not feel ill than I was ever really feeling happy, joyous, and free. Those last 3 years were miserable. They weren't a happy place to be in. Music and comedy were the 2 tools that gave me the power to say, I'm going to stay on this journey, and I'm going to go to Australia one day and meet Steve Irwin.
And you also speak on stage, and I guess that's where our paths sort of crossed, because I was a member and have been a previous leader of the Yes Group. As have you. You were a very, very famous leader and director of the Yes Group. Do you just want to tell me a little bit more about why you decided to join? Because it's you're contributing, it's a volunteer role, and you're leading and organizing an event, which is one of the largest personal growth communities in the UK. Certainly.
Largest personal development community of the UK. And full respect to Anita Langley, really. She turned me onto it, and she was hounding me for a while. She was there throughout my Tony Robbins journey, really, which was quite cool. I went to my first UPW Tony Robbins event in 2006 September, and I stopped smoking. Just stopped smoking cigarettes at that first UPW on the Saturday morning when you make a decision. And I've never stopped telling that story. But I was so blown away by that, and that I went back a couple of other times to watch what Tony was doing in order to get me to make that change. And I'm fascinated by that. And that took me down the path of learning more about NLP and other processes outside of the historic therapeutic ones, which I was learning from my own professional work anyway. And Anita kept on encouraging me. And the first thing I did was she dragged me to a basket brigade, which is where December the 23rd, when 200 people in those days would come together and volunteer to make Christmas hampers that we would deliver anonymously, and that was what was important to me.
I
Was
mean,
the
it's an
anonymous
amazing
delivery.
event, and I've done a couple of them, and I've got to say, if anyone's watching, it's definitely something that just, it's a humbling experience. You're contributing, you're having fun, and you're doing it. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen this year. Who knows, because of the situation, but such an amazing cause.
But if you can go, take your kids.
Yeah.
Please take your children. It's such a good exercise for them. And the beautiful thing is that, I don't know how it is today, but in those days there was a woman called Dina, and she was hooked in with some charities. So a lot of the recipients were single mothers who had been escaping domestic violence. So it was single mothers with some kids who were in refuge housing. And I was delivering to those people for the first couple of years. And that was really relevant for me. And so through the Basket Brigade, I then went to the Yes Group. And in those days, it was the great Mac Attram who was the chair. And I knew Mac from other stuff as well that was going on. And then someone else took over, a guy called Mark took over. And I sat there for another 2 years, enjoying the Yes Group. And then by some strange manifestation, Carl and the team involved saw fit to ask me to lead in 2000, and I think it was 2013 I came on board. The secret to being a great leader is about having a great team, and it was never about me.
Absolutely.
And so I selected, and what most people want when they become the Yes Group leader is to go on stage and MC and introduce all these speakers every week. And the first thing I said was, this is not about me. And, this is not about me. If I'm going to do the Yes Group, I'm going to do it from a place of contribution. I'm not going to do it from a place of, hey, look at me. So I ruled myself out of being the MC. I chose Alan Clanans to be my MC. And so his only role while I was the leader was to make sure that the stage was rocking. And he's a great
at, right? So that's perfect.
He's a great MC. And I'm a great MC too, but that shouldn't be the role as the leader. Yeah. The role as a leader shouldn't be about going on stage and being the all I. Hey, look at me. So I was teaching those principles of leading from behind. I had a great leadership team. I had Marilyn Devonish choosing the speakers. I had the magnificent Linda Thompson, who was the event coordinator. I had another woman called Mandy, who was managing registrations, really proficient at administration and all that kind of stuff. I had Shimoni, I think her name is, who was doing marketing, and she was so passionate about marketing, it was formidable. She was pushing out messages every week. She did an outstanding job. I brought on Jatinder to do web stuff, and Jatinder and his brother Amanjot were videoing it, and so within time we had video content. Steve Driver came and did merchandise, so we started producing Yes Group merchandise and selling that. And we just had the time I was a leader of the Yes Group, it was great because I was the leader, but it was about a team. It was always about what team can I create around me, and that's the message that I gave the leader who came after me. Delegate, have the greatest team around you, but don't make it about you. Don't make it about don't make it the Ian show. Make it a we show, not a me show.
How did it help you? Because presumably, how did it help you?
I mean, I was pretty networked and connected already. I didn't get a huge lift in my professional life from working in the Yes Group. I didn't get a return of financial. I didn't start.
No,
didn't start buying me a coach or anything. I didn't need that income from the from the personal development scene. My income was always in the addiction treatment world. So how it helped me, I guess, was just to feel like I was being of service and contributing to the welfare of others, teaching my team, teaching the group, teaching the people that turned up new skills. Just it is an act of contribution. My term at the Yes Group has always been about contribution to the community. And later, when I became a director, it was about how can I best serve Carl in some way, be a sounding board for him, be a second pair of eyes, give him another opinion. And Carl and I have got a great respectful relationship where we go to each other for advice, and where I mean, there was never a kind of hierarchy between us. There's always been a brotherly, balanced energy between.
I mean, I'm so happy that the S group is still going despite obviously the lockdown. They're still putting out regular Zooms, and I will put a link on the end of this as well, because if you're listening and if you've never tried the S group, it's absolutely an amazing, uplifting community. But back to you very quickly, Ian, because I'm very conscious of time. My God, I think I could spend the whole day here. Well, actually, I could spend the whole day there by the pool.
I've got about another half hour, but
okay.
so recovery.
Sorry.
Recovery. Go on, you asked me the question.
Well, I want to know, so, you know, you told me about the 12-step program, and I understand that. But recovery, I mean, what did you, and I don't know because I haven't been in this situation, but what did you replace your addictions with? Is there something, because presumably you had a huge hole left inside.
Let's come back to the conversation we had earlier. The base addiction is love addiction. That's what it all stems from. That's what ultimately I'm craving. I'm craving love, and I'm seeking love in the wrong places. I'm seeking love at the end of a syringe or at the end of a bottle. I'm seeking love through various things. And when I got sober, music and comedy was a significant replacement, but ultimately I'm still craving love. So I start having relationships with people. And I think the obvious one for me is I managed to get myself a job buying and selling chocolate wholesale, which was really easy for me because I knew how to buy and sell things wholesale. Even though I'd never had any legal employment before, I kind of understood the economics behind that. And I was a really good chocolate salesman. I was really good. I was consistently one of the top 3 retailers for Nestle in the UK. And it's quite easy for me to say that I picked up chocolate as a replacement drug.
Yeah.
And that my relationship with sugar has been a constant battle. Well, it hasn't even been a battle. I've just kind of let it go and just accepted that I'm beaten by sugar. I crave sugar and I eat it. Part of this is similar. I didn't drink whiskey. I used to drink Southern Comfort. I didn't drink rum. I used to drink Malibu. I didn't like coffee, but I'd wake up to a bottle of Baileys. And what I was doing was I was consuming alcohol that was really sweet in its temperament. I was consuming a lot of sugar through my alcohol because I was chronic alcoholic throughout all these years. We talk about heroin and coke because they're the bad, sexy ones, but I was drinking right the way through. From the age of 16 through to the time I got sober at 29, I was drinking every day. Wasn't necessarily.
Alcohol is worse. I mean, obviously, you know, not sort of comparing one, but I am going to compare one with the other because let's face it, booze is legal. And I actually think booze is a huge killer and actually can be one of the nastiest forms of drugs out there. But
I'm a fan of Professor David Nutt, and he says if you're going to make drugs banned based on how much danger they cause, then alcohol is up there with heroin and cocaine.
Absolutely.
And then in that language, ecstasy, amphetamines, cannabis should all be legalized.
Yeah.
I'm okay with legalization of drugs. I'm not anti. I'm pro legalization. I think all drugs should be legal, and I don't really know whether that means that they should be sold by the state and have tax on them like you sell cigarettes today. But I think that would be the best way to go, is to tax cigarettes. It's looking a bit dark here. Should I move? Put the tax on the drugs that you sell, and legalize them that way, and have legalized diamorphine and have legalized. Okay. Sorry?
Said we can see you properly now. I didn't
realize
it got so dark. I can see you.
Yeah. So where should I sit? It's raining a little bit, but it's okay. So yeah, I'm pro legalization. I'm all good with that. And I think that we'd be foolish to miss that opportunity to as a civilization to keep drugs underground. It is raining. And let's go with it. Why not? Why not? The argument against legalization is outweighed by the fact that if you're going to have alcohol legal, alcohol kills 10 times as many people each year than heroin does. Or look at the effects of alcohol. If you go to the hospitals, you ask them just how many people are ill in hospital, it's 100 times more than people coming in with drug-related problems. So I'm pro that. I mean, I'm not anti-drug by any means. And I often get reporters and journalists asking me for my opinion about narcotics, expecting me to come out and be anti, and I'm really not. Most of my friends that I used to use drugs with are still using drugs, and that's okay. Most of my friends that I used to drink with are still drinking, and that's okay. Why should they stop? They don't have a problem. They have not become emotionally unavailable as a result of their drug or their alcohol use. That's the barometer.
Are we born addicts? Are we addicts?
We're born addicts. Officially, there are studies that show that addiction is passed genetically, and that they took 2 boys who were born of alcoholic parents, twins, and they separated them at birth, and they gave one to an alcoholic family and one to a non-alcoholic family, and both of the twins ended up being alcoholic. I believe that was called Project Match. I believe personally that it is a balance between nature and nurture, that if I'm exposed to a civilization or a community or a tribe that is indulging in drugs, I'm far more likely to release that trigger that unleashes the addictive personality within me. If I live a sheltered life all my life and I'm never exposed to drink or drugs, it's unlikely that I would go down that road. However, if you've got addictive disease, I would probably come out as a beast because I get hooked on food, or I'd come out with some other mood-altering behavior, gambling, risk-taking. Even if I'm not exposed to alcohol or drugs, my addiction will manifest itself in some way. It might be a lot less stigmatized, but I believe it will still be there. However, I've seen many cases where there's no evidence of any genetic stuff whatsoever, and there's no evidence of anything. It's an enigma. It's an enigma.
Now, we haven't talked about the amazing work that you're doing at the moment. And you're not in Phuket. Tell me about your new project, if you can.
Let me talk to you. I got sober in 2001, and I've remained sober since then. I went back to, after the chocolate selling, I went back and I worked at the rehab that I got sober at. And off the back of that, I had a spiritual moment where I wanted to create a low-cost rehab that was 12-step friendly, so that I could help more people get turned on to the 12-step program through low-cost treatment. And I was very successful at that. 2004 through to 2008, I helped many thousands of people and families get into long-term recovery. We had very successful rehabs that we built in Luton. But then I was burnt out. I fell in love with my wife at the time. I wanted a different pace to my life. And I began Sober Services. So since 2008, Sober Services has been my bread and butter. And what I do is I go around the world. I don't know if you can hear the rain. I go around the world and I help families who have got a loved one who's struggling with addiction, and I help intervene and get them into treatment. And I've been doing that all over the place. I created bespoke models where we'll go in and we'll take care of one person one-on-one, and I built sober companion programs, sober coaching programs. I've written my own handbook about how I can work with someone one-on-one that takes people through a process. I've got it all down, done lots of things. And then when I got divorced from my wife 3 years ago, after 11 happy years, and I'll say we separated, we got divorced from a place of love. When we decided to split up, it was because we loved and cared about each other enough that we realized that we wanted what was best for each other, and that our life goals had grown so far apart that it was better for us to love each other enough to let each other go than to continue to hold on to each other. I love to travel. I love to see people. I love to be around the world, doing stuff, making stuff happen. She's a stay-at-home person. She loved to stay at home with 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 3 horses. And when I'd get home after some great adventure, I found myself 8th on the pecking list of her attentions. And I don't resent her for that. It's just that's how she was. And we got to a point where we decided it was better to let each other go and follow our own dreams. So just under 3 years ago, I then made the decision that I was going to move out to Thailand. I've been out here on work, and I'd been working with rehabs and working with some families out here. So I came out here and I started building a rehab out here. Long story how I got to that, but I ended up on Phuket. built this most amazing facility with my mate, Russell, my best mate. Known him a long time. He was the best man at my wedding. We've been there for each other. He's also in recovery. Built the Phuket Addiction Recovery Clinic, primary care centre for detox, primary care, secondary care, and even sober living on the gorgeous island of Phuket. And then COVID happened, and all of our borders have been closed since April. And so although Thailand has been really successful at maintaining COVID, we haven't allowed anyone into the country. And so my rehab has really struggled. It's one of the few that stayed open. Most of the rehabs in Thailand closed. Only 3 remained open, mine and 2 others. And I'm very proud of that. And we still have people, we still have residents in the park. But it's got to a point now where my role there isn't as relevant anymore. And so I've come over onto Koh Phangan to open a sober community. The idea being that I've got an empty resort from a friend of mine, which when it's not raining, it's gorgeous. We're 60 meters from the beach. We've got a pool, we've got a huge restaurant, we're making co-working area, we've got a big gym, we've got 31 chalets, and I want to create a drug and alcohol-free wellness retreat.
Wow.
And the idea is that if people are living in landlocked parts of Thailand, like Chiang Mai or Bangkok, if they're living in a space where they want better health, better wellness, and they fancy an alcohol-free space, whether they're in recovery or not, then come and live with us for the rest of the pandemic. Come and stay here until Thailand reopens its borders. Come and live by the beach. I mean, Koh Phangan is the archetype paradise island. Phuket's a big commercial place, but when you think of Paradise Island, it's Phuket. Yeah. It's chock full of hippies, just full of hippies that have come out here to make it a spiritual and conscious connection, and it's full of wellness, it's full of healing. And I couldn't really be more fortunate that God's seen, and I say God, I'm the biggest atheist you'll ever meet who believes in God. How crazy is that? The beautiful thing is that I got to create a God of my own understanding. So I created a God of my own understanding, and she's really sexy. Sometimes she wears clothes and sometimes she doesn't.
She's a definite she.
She lives on the beach, she lives in concrete jungle, she lives wherever I choose her to live. Some days she wears clothes and some days she doesn't. But the important thing to know about my God is that she loves me unconditionally, she forgives me, she's generous, she's kind, she's encouraging, and I don't even believe in God. I'm the biggest atheist you'll ever meet who believes in God. And I say that because when I choose to pray to a God I don't believe in, and when I choose to meditate to a God that I don't believe in, magic happens in my life. So I just keep talking to a God I don't believe in.
It's a higher power, right? It's a higher
power.
Yeah, it's whatever you call it. Some people call it the universe, some people call it God, some people call it whatever. It's the higher power. Yeah. And Ian, what is this project called? When is it open? Can people...
Our working title is Eden Life.
I like it.
We hope to get the website up in the next few weeks and be open in the next few weeks. We're kind of looking at October the 1st, but of course you have to be in Thailand to come here. You can't come here unless you're in Thailand. But let's see how we get on. Hopefully we'll be successful. And so that when the borders do reopen again, it'll be open for people from all over the world to come and stay on a drug and alcohol-free resort by the beach with health and wellness and everything going on for it.
Sounds fantastic, Ian. And so you've got Eden Life. Tell me, you've got your book. I know you've got that, and we can put a link to your book on the show notes. But I believe it's out to print now.
My book is called It's Not About Me. Guess what it's about?
You.
It's all about me. But it's about the spiritual principles that I came to understand when my head popped out of my arse and I realized the world doesn't revolve around me. And that's, again, the connection. Addiction is selfishness and recovery is selflessness. And that's what It's Not About Me is about. It's about the realization that life doesn't need to be taken from a point of view of my own selfishness, and that actually, Tony Robbins says it the best, the secret to living is giving. And other people have said, you keep what you have by giving it away. And so I continue to do the best I can to be of service to other people and to see how I can make other people smile. I believe that smiling is contagious, and that if I start smiling for long enough, other people will just start smiling back. And we know that when we start smiling, we do better.
Ian, listen, I could talk to you all day, although you look like you might be getting rather wet. And I think you might have just answered it, but I do have a final question that I ask all my guests. And that, if you were to write a message in a bottle for future generations to find, what would that message be?
Enjoy the journey and try not to upset anyone.
Love it. Ian, thank you so much for being a guest on my show. It's been wonderful. Thank you. Namaste.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, there's a new interview out every Monday, so hit subscribe and like, and you'll get it straight into your inbox.